Well, good evening, everyone. I'm David Lewis. I'm sitting in for Howie this evening. Give people a couple more minutes to sign on. It's winter solstice evening. I hope you're all having a happy and peaceful solstice. Please make yourselves comfortable. Take a moment to find a posture that supports you. Supports you in a way where you can be both relaxed and yet alert and interested. One important element of our meditation practice is interest. An interest in whatever's happening in the present moment without getting attached. So relaxed and interested. If you're sitting in a chair, just notice that sitting in a chair is like this, or a cushion, or perhaps even lying or standing up. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, feel free to do so. Allow them to soften and close. Noticing any changes in your sensory experience when the eyes are closed. Perhaps the other sense doors open up. Hearing. Hearing my voice right now. Perhaps hearing other sounds in your environment. Maybe even sounds from outdoors. And the sense of touch. Very often, when our eyes are open and our mind is busy thinking, we're not so aware of touch points. Touch points of your body on your seat, your feet, your hands, wherever they are resting. The sense of hearing and the sense of touch both happen in the present moment, in the here and now. So they're reliable meditation objects. If the mind wanders in the course of meditation, at some point you'll notice that if you're being mindful. And you can ground yourself once again in the present moment, referring to the touch points or to hearing, all of which are happening in the present moment. Bodily sensations may become apparent. Perhaps some area of tension that can be relaxed with an out breath. Or if not, you simply notice. Tension is like this. Or perhaps there's an awareness of the breath, the coolness of the in-breath, the relative warmth of the out-breath. The short space in between the in-breath and the out-breath. Like hearing, like the sense of touch, breath happens in the present moment. The breath breathes itself. Nothing to control. No effort required. As the body settles in its posture, you may become aware of sensations of the mind. Thoughts and feelings. Perhaps memories, stories, rising and passing away. Just like breaths coming and going. Thoughts arrive uninvited, like a bubble rising from deep beneath the sea, coming to the surface, popping and disappearing. If we don't follow a thought, if we don't feed it, it lasts no longer than a sound. It simply comes and goes of its own volition. Just like breaths coming and going. All these things, bodily sensations, breaths, sounds, thoughts, feelings, they're all phenomena that have the common nature of impermanence. They're transient. So this is what we notice. The nature of change in our experience. Nothing to hold on to. Nothing to attach to. Just allowing thoughts and feelings to arise and pass away like clouds through a clear blue sky. If some thought or story becomes predominant, at some point you'll notice. That's a moment of waking up and an opportunity to gently let it be. Come back to the body or the breath in the present moment. And relax. As you settle in and let go, you may be aware of feelings of peace and ease. Letting go of the cares of the day. Letting go of the agitations of the holiday season. simply resting in the present moment. Are you aware of any feelings of peace and ease? Ajahn Amaro has a beautiful meditation instruction. Rest in the natural peace and ease. That is the natural peace and ease of body and mind. And notice whatever happens to distract that peace. Rest in the natural peace and ease. That is the natural peace and ease of body and mind. Notice whatever happens to distract that peace. Continue practicing like this, noticing the absence of mind objects as well as mind objects. Noticing the space between thoughts as well as the passing thoughts. Noticing and cultivating a sense of peace and ease in your momentary experience. If the mind has wandered, no problem. Simply notice that's happened. Let go of whatever the distraction was. Bring your attention back to the breath or the body. Ground yourself once again in the present moment. And start all over again. Rest in the natural peace and ease. It is the natural peace and ease of body and mind. Notice whatever happens to distract that peace. Thank you for your practice. A pleasure to sit with you this evening. I believe this is the time for announcements. Is that correct, Mary?
Certainly, I can do that. So thank you, David. So the announcement is that next week we will not be meeting. I can't remember in history the last time we've done this, but we are not meeting next week. So I hope you all have a lovely holiday season. We'll be back the first Tuesday in January. So I hope to see you then. And then the other announcement is, as usual, is just a reminder about Dharma. As you know, in our tradition, the teachings are offered freely because they're considered absolutely priceless. And Dharma is the engine that keeps the Dharma flowing from week to week, century to century for the last 2,600 years. And the teachers freely offer their time and wisdom, and we, if we are able, offer our financial support. So it's a way that we can express our appreciation, our gratitude for the teachings, and also support each other in ensuring that these teachings remain available and accessible. So I will drop the Donna information into the chat box. And thank you very much for your kindness and your generosity and your presence. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Mary. And I would add about Donna, as I sometimes forget to do, that just a reminder that the reason we're all here tonight as a Sangha is because of the practitioners that came before us. And as Mary said, that's how this tradition is carried forward. So it's a beautiful practice. We can take a 2 or 3 minute break. I certainly need to get up and stretch or bio break or get yourself a glass of water, and I'll be back in just a couple of minutes to give the Dhamma talk. So please take a break. Well, welcome back. As people are getting settled again, just want to acknowledge that here we are in the middle of the holidays. The word holidays, of course, comes from holy days. Special days of observance that in many spiritual traditions, most of which can be traced back to our pagan ancestors, they're special days of observance. And even when they're not Buddhist in origin, they often mirror Dharmic values and practices. The holy days. Thanksgiving representing gratitude, Christmas representing generosity, New Year's representing both letting go and intentionality. It's natural, as in derived from nature, that so many of our holy days, including Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, are clustered around the time of winter solstice. This, the shortest day of the year, which must have been, I can only assume, a universally celebrated event to our ancestors who organized their lives around the changing seasons. So I'd like to open this evening with a seasonal poem, acknowledging the first day of winter. It's called Winter Grace by Patricia Fargnoli. If you have seen the snow under the lamppost, piled up like a white beaver hat on a picnic table, or somewhere slowly falling into the brook to be swallowed by the water, then you have seen beauty and known it for its transience. And if you have gone out in the snow for only the pleasure of walking barely protected from the galaxies, the flakes settling on your parka like the dust from just born stars, the cold waking you as if from long sleeping, then you can understand how, more often than not, truth is found in silence. How the natural world comes to you if you go out to meet it. Its icy ditches filled with dead weeds, its vacant birdhouses and dens full of the sleeping. But this is the slowed down season, held fast by darkness. And if no one comes to keep you company, then keep watch over your own solitude. In that stillness, you will learn with your whole body the significance of cold and the night, which is otherwise always eluding you. It's not snowing here in San Francisco, but it is raining, which is a blessing for Northern California. And as this beautiful poem suggests, winter solstice invites us to honor stillness, silence, and spaciousness. Solstice celebrates the great change, the earth tipping on its axis, the movement from darkness to light. But before we anticipate more light, we must acknowledge the darkness. This act of nature is reflected in the most fundamental teachings of the Buddha. Acknowledging dukkha or the law of unreliability in our lives is an essential preliminary to waking up, to seeing the light. Solstice asks how we stand open-hearted in the face of the darkest night. In our tradition, this is a time for turning inward, for reflection and meditation. In Pali, the language of the Buddha's time, the Pali word for this period is vasa. It's a time for practice. In Southeast Asia, it's the monsoon season. For us, it's the winter months. In many Buddhist cultures, days of observance are called upasatha days. It's another Pali word. Days of observance. And like solstice, they are determined by natural phenomena. Each phase of the moon, the full moon, the new moon, the 2 quarter moons each month are upasatha days. On these days, or roughly once a week, lay practitioners make offerings to monasteries and observe the precepts. The monastics sit up all night meditating. Their practice guided by the lunar calendar. I once tried keeping the traditional upasatha calendar just to see if I could do it, taking one day a week based on the phase of the moon. And it was a bit of a challenge because it's a different day every week. I found it hard to manage in modern life. However, a weekly holy day is, to the best of my knowledge, a universal in all the major spiritual traditions. In the Judeo-Christian traditions, this day is called the Sabbath. And how different traditions practice the Sabbath is remarkably similar. It's a day of rest, of reflection, of fasting, and meditation or prayer. The Sabbath tradition has largely fallen out of favor in our busy materialist frenzy of consumer culture. But there appears to be some movement towards reviving it, with an acknowledgement that mental health has value too. Some people set an intention to avoid screens, newspapers, social media accounts for one day a week, which is a modern take on fasting. Buddhists have been in the forefront of this movement, as we have always advocated retreat and another kind of observance, meditating once or twice a day. Maya Angelou says, every person needs to take one day away, a day in which one consciously separates the past from the future. Jobs, family, employers, and friends can exist one day without any one of us. And if our egos permit us to confess, they could exist eternally in our absence. Each person deserves a day away in which no problems are confronted, no solutions are searched for. Each of us needs to withdraw from the cares which will not withdraw from us. I love that last line, the Maya Angelou quote. Each of us needs to withdraw from the cares which will not withdraw from us. Because that's essentially what we do in mindfulness practice, isn't it? we put some distance from our habitual cares and those of the world for the sake of cultivating peaceful hearts and minds. As Angelou points out, those cares don't withdraw from us. We're not just sticking our heads in the sand, but rather we're cultivating peace of mind in the face of so much turmoil and stress. Stress being a common definition for dukkha. Peace does not mean creating a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It's about being in the midst of all those things and still remaining calm in your heart. The poet Gary Snyder reminds us that meditation is not just a rest or retreat from the turmoil of the stream or the impurity of the world. It is a way of being the stream so that one can be at home in both the white water and the eddies. That is an excellent description of equanimity. Look at the great pacifists and social justice leaders of the last century, such as Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Venerable Ghosananda, and Martin Luther King. They were all inspired and supported by strong spiritual practices. They embodied peace and equanimity, which sustained their work. Peace on earth starts with peace in the heart. I know that Howie likes to share this quote from Nisargadatta, so you've perhaps heard it. The world is the way it is because people are the way they are. As long as people are the way they are, the world will continue to be the way it is. If we want to have a peaceful world, it's necessary to have peaceful people. Peace is not something that can be imposed on the world. So I believe that there's no more important action that we can take to make the world a better place than to cultivate peace of mind, first and foremost. And to gather in sanghas like Mission Dharma to support and be supported by our Kalyanamita, our spiritual friends. It must be from a loving heart and a peaceful mind that we go forth to do our chosen work in the world, whatever that might be. When I was quite a bit younger, I protested. I was in a number of Vietnam War protests in Washington, D.C., and was arrested there. And got arrested again at Nixon's second inauguration. And at the height of the AIDS epidemic, I was a member of the ACT UP here in San Francisco. In those movements, I witnessed fellow activists who were operating from a place of equanimity. And others were motivated by a righteous anger. The angry ones made more waves, but they were also the ones who burned out early. So even in our attempts to set right the wrongs of the world, coming from a place of equanimity and peace is an advantage. So if you were of a mind to set an intention for the next year, I recommend cultivating peace of mind. That continues to be my intention. And in doing so, I don't think I'm operating from behind rose-colored glasses. To be truthful, I'm honestly not very optimistic about either our political prospects or great improvements in social justice for the next few years. And climate change is only accelerating. It distresses me. I hope that I'm wrong, but I think we're going to need peace of mind in order to maintain our sanity in the difficult times ahead. And who knows how long we're going to be struggling with this pandemic. So there's no time like now to start. I teach some beginning meditation classes, and I often say to people that implore people to not wait until a time of distress or difficulty in life or a time of sickness or worry to start meditating. And in his last words at the end of his life, the Buddha said essentially the same thing: waste no time, get started now. But what does peace look like? And how do we go about cultivating it? A great Thai meditation teacher from our tradition, Ajahn Chah, said that looking for peace is like looking for a turtle with a mustache. You won't be able to find it. But when your heart is ready, peace will come looking for you. Striving to impose peace will probably feel like spinning your tires. Peace of mind comes from mindfully resting in the here and now with a relaxed attitude of acceptance, as we did in our sit this evening. For any of you who are new to meditation, this might seem like a challenging practice, but that's only because you're not used to it. What most people are used to is being lost in a mind state of agitation, which we address with distraction. So a peaceful mind might feel foreign and maybe even uncomfortable. But 2,600 years of Buddhist teachers have reminded us that peace is the natural state of our mind. These are the words of the Buddha. Luminous is the mind, brightly shining, but it is colored by the attachments that visit it. This, unlearned people do not really understand, and so do not cultivate the mind. Luminous is this mind, brightly shining, when it is free of the attachments that visit it. This, the noble follower of the way, really understands. So for them, there is cultivation of the mind. That's what the silent meditation we just did this evening was. Cultivation of the mind. Please do try this at home. Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo adds that the nature of the mind has no problems. It's the only place in samsara that has no problems. It's our real island of refuge. And this is why we're trying to experience the nature of mind, because this is the only place where there is security. This is the only place where there is security. I was recently talking about the nature of peace with a Dharma friend, and I asked what he thought the opposite of peace was. In Dharma circles, we talk about near enemies and far enemies, and the far enemy is the opposite of something. And he responded that he thought the opposite of peace was attachment. And I was thinking it might be agitation and distraction. But they're both accurate, I think. If so, the formula for cultivating peace of mind is to let go of attachment and avoid agitation and distraction. This practice that we do together and alone is more about letting go than getting something. You may be familiar with these lines from Ajahn Chah. If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. And your struggles with the world will have come to an end. So Ajahn Chah describes peace as freedom from struggle. That has been my experience. When I relax and rest in awareness and let go of trying to control my experience, often peace naturally arises, followed by happiness in its wake. For me, happiness is a side effect of peace, and peace is a side effect of presence. It's not the excited kind of happiness that comes from getting something you want, but rather a kind of peaceful contentment. The contentment of accepting things just as they are. So if you want to be peaceful and happy, just sit and let peace find you. Or as Uttejaniya, the Burmese teacher, instructs, we must find a still point that is not dependent on anything for our happiness. Still point that is not dependent on anything for our happiness. This doesn't mean that we ignore our suffering. As always, suffering is often the entry point to Dharma practice. If we don't acknowledge our suffering, we will never be able to transcend it. But I think that sometimes we emphasize suffering in this tradition at the expense of the promise of freedom from it. Peace is available to you at any time. And I'm also not suggesting tonight that you should be happy. Only, as the Buddha taught, that you deserve to be happy. And that it's a wholesome mind state to cultivate. The Buddha said that if you're feeling happy, take a break and appreciate it. Cultivate it. Happiness, like everything else, changes, comes and goes. It's transient. So appreciate it when you have it. And this subtle kind of happiness, this contentment that comes from simply being in the moment, is a happiness that can be sustained, at least somewhat longer than an excited kind of happiness. Like peace, the contentment of simply resting in the here and now is always available to you, no matter what's going on in your life or in the world. No matter what's going on. Maha Ghosananda, Cambodian teacher, said, if we cannot be happy in spite of our difficulties, what is the good of spiritual practice? Gratitude is an essential daily practice for me, and I recommend it, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Gratitude makes what we have enough. And an added benefit is that gratitude is a happiness practice. Because happiness arises not from getting what we want, but rather from being grateful for what we have. Bhikkhu Analayo, the esteemed Buddhist monk and translator, reminds us that the whole of the Buddha's path can be seen as a progressive refinement of joy. The whole of the Buddha's path can be seen as a progressive refinement of joy. He's not talking about some reward at the end of the path. He's talking about the gradual unfolding of peace and joy throughout our practice, starting right now, right here, tonight. So, in closing, this is my solstice wish for you, my friends at Mission Dharma. May you be filled with goodwill, peace, and joy. Perhaps just the simple contentment of a quiet moment amidst all the holiday hubbub. May you and all sentient beings be free from needless suffering. May it be so. So thank you for your kind attention, your patience with me. We have a few minutes. If anybody has a comment or a question or a reflection of your own, or even something perhaps that came up in your meditation, feel free to unmute yourself. And I might not be able to see everybody's hands, so feel free to speak up if you'd like to. Anything come up for you that you'd like to share? Anybody feel like they don't deserve to be happy? Don't do that. You deserve to be happy. Last chance. Okay. I hope your silence is an indication of a peaceful mind. That would be a good thing. So that said, I think we can end a little early tonight. Give you time to appreciate the solstice, the rain if you're in a rainy place, and hopefully some peace of mind. So thank you again for your kind attention and for sitting with me tonight, and thank you for your support of Mission Dharma. Honor to be here with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much, David.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, David from Berkeley.
Wonderful.
Charlie.